On this episode of Consumed, I'm going to be talking with the incomparable Sunny Lake Hahn, who is an industry insider who has covered all of the different areas, channels, has worked for so many different MLSs, brokerages, associations, and is both an agent and a consumer herself. You're not going to want to miss it. This is Consumed, a podcast for real estate agents who are tired of hearing the same old industry stuff and want to experience something completely different. I'm incredibly excited for this week's guest with me, not for any other reason other than I think we were separated at birth a long time ago, but it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome the incomparable wind beneath my wings, Sunny Lake Hahn, who has been in real estate from every angle one could possibly imagine, which is what makes her the perfect guest for today. But Sunny has been dealing with consumers, agents, brokers, portals, PropTech startups, a tremendous amount of work within the MLSs and associations. And she knows where the bodies are buried. So that's the benefit to having her on here today. And she's who you call when you want the truth. So, what I love about having her on today is nothing is going to be sugar coated. We are fully unfiltered. Probably will get canceled after a portion of this, but she is a rare mix of strategy and operational savvy. She says it like it is, completely honest. And she helps organizations get clear, get aligned, and actually get things done. And outside of work, fun fact, Sunny is a competitive shooter, an unapologetic baker, and a firm believer that life and business is better in the sunlight. So with that, Sunny, thank you for making the time to sit here with me today.
Oh, Lance, you're my birthday twin almost. And again, yeah, we were separated at birth. We're like twins. We're these weird twins that are a week apart in birthdays. And I always love to see you and chat with you and maybe talk a little smack with you about stuff too. So happy to be here.
The best part too of us having birthdays, I think, that are this close to each other is we get to call each other and be like, are people ignoring yours? Or like, I'm hoping they're ignoring mine.
Yeah. No, mine's right around the corner. It's coming in hot. And I'm like, can we just pretend like it's not happening? Let's just pretend.
Well, and I don't know if you have this experience too, but I tell people, like, I'm hard to shop for. I know that. I don't really want to celebrate my birthday and I don't want presents. So I'm always like, don't buy me anything. It's totally fine. And then what do? They buy me stuff and then they get all pissed off when I return it or exchange. And I'm like, yeah, but I told you not to buy me anything. Like, why are you still doing this?
Well, Rob likes to buy me things, and his one of his love languages is giving gifts, and mine is not. Like, one of mine is not receiving them. Like, that's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no. So he struggles to find things for me, and I'm just like, let's go on a trip or do something cool, or make memories. Not buy me more stuff, because I have plenty of stuff, as you can see behind me, and all of it. So yeah, and then once he got me into competitive shooting, my gifts started becoming firearms. And so, yeah, when I became top lady of Nevada for International Defensive Pistol Association, I have one of the little plaques up there too. He was like, when you get top lady, I'm going to buy you a really nice gun. I'm like, okay. And so he did. But yeah, in terms of like gifts, I really don't need them. I would rather just be on a beach somewhere and pretending like the birthday isn't happening. But here I am.
Everything you just said about your competitive shooting sounds like the opening of a Dateline special, but well, so let's dig into this.
Because it could be. I do not, please, if I die, do not ever say that I lit up every room I walked into, because we both know that is a lie.
Isn't that the best part of this?
Don't lie about me, Lance.
It's the best part. People are always like, oh, she was such a light to everyone. I'm like, no, she wasn't. There's probably, when I die, I'm going to tell you right now, anybody that says that is full of crap. It's not true. Yeah. I was not the light in anybody's life. Let's be very clear. So with that being said, let's dig into it, because what I love about having you on as a guest this week is the fact that we get to go through this from a couple different angles. You and I both have worked in a couple of different ways, whether it be as an agent, whether it be within a brokerage, or whether it be in direct from agent support, consulting, coaching, and all those different things. But you have an even better perspective because you've been a consultant to MLSs, both to associations, all of the things. So the one thing...
And I worked for Zillow. Maybe is this the part where we get canceled because I said I used to work for Zillow?
Well, let's put it this way. All I'm going to say is the thing that'll get us canceled is my new tagline between the stuff that I do and how I've experienced Zillow and Homes.com, where I always say now to agents, Zillow is your pimp and Homes.com is your partner, because at this point in time, I'm like, kind of feels like that. But so first question for you right off the bat is, in all of your time in all the different places and different experiences that you've had in working with brokerage industry and agents. What do you think is the biggest change that you've seen in the past 10 years across real estate?
The biggest change I've seen really is like, well, it's from the agent side.
Okay.
And they all think that technology is going to solve every problem. And that's the biggest change. Like when I started over 20 years ago, nobody was worried about technology other than the MLS went from a book online. Mm-hmm. And then Zillow came along during the global financial crisis and everyone's like, oh, the voyeurism of real estate started. So you could see what everyone's house was worth according to this estimate. Like that was wildly off in a lot of markets, including the one that I was in. But like in the last 10 years, the biggest change that I've seen, and it still just makes me laugh, is that agents think that technology is going to solve every problem for them. It really doesn't. And like, that's the thing. I'm like, yes, it can make you more efficient. And as Rob likes to say, so if you suck, it'll just make you suck faster and in front of more people, which is really what it can do. Like, yes, it can make you more efficient. It can give you a broader audience, but it's not going to solve all of your problems. And that's the thing that I think a lot of agents just kind of focus on. Technology. Like now people still actually do want to talk to you. Consumers do actually still want to talk to you. They want to sit down with you. They want you to like solve their problems, and you can't necessarily solve their problems with a chatbot.
From your experience, do you think that technology and this agent belief that technology will solve all problems, do you think that's taken them further away from what consumers want and need, or do you think it's been able to help them a little bit in getting closer to that?
I think it can get them a little closer. Like, I mean, texting wasn't a thing when I started. So yes, that is technology. It can help me communicate quickly. It can help like do scheduling quickly, things like that. So technology has helped streamline some things. But when it comes to buying and selling real estate, consumers still they need and they want and they deserve to have their hands held. Like, it's a big deal. I am selling my cabin. I have bought and sold hundreds, thousands of homes for consumers. I'm still a consumer right now. And I want my agent to tell me when there is a showing and what the feedback is. Like, I don't want to sit there and wait just because I know what the process is like. I still want to know as a consumer. So please text me or call me and tell me how many showings I've had. Tell me like, what is the feedback? What do we need to do? I want to know. So even after going through the process a million times, as a consumer, I'm still like, give me the information, please, now. I need you to hold my hand, please, now.
So interesting backstory to this too, because since one of my favorite sayings and quotes of all time is all wisdom is plagiarism, only stupidity is original. And I have to say that for those that don't know, Sunny and I go back, quite some ways in a lot of different elements of the business and the industry itself. But one thing that's super interesting is this podcast was actually Sunny's idea. And so I have to give you credit for that because of the fact that this podcast and discussing and understanding what consumers want, what they need, was brought to me originally in a conversation by Sunny. And we had talked about figuring out how to make this work in the best interest of agent community. And, I think that what's most interesting to me in that conversation was you were the first person that said to me, when agents are out in the world and they're, doing business, and you talk about brokerages and all of that, how many agent panels are agents attending, in which you've got agents on stage sitting around talking into a microphone, explaining to people, explaining to other agents how they grew their business and how they're amazing and how they did all these different things. That's great. But how many consumer panels do agents get to listen to? I'll wait.
Zero.
Nothing.
Zero. They listen to zero consumer panels. And because there have been companies that have tried to put those together. And what the feedback from the industry is no, nope. No.
Why?
No.
Why?
Cool idea. We don't actually want to hear from buyers and sellers. We just want to pretend like we know what they want. And we're going to tell everyone how to grow their business. But when it comes to actually talking to buyers and sellers, oh, please God, no. No. We don't want to hear that feedback.
So in your opinion, though, why does the industry not want agents hearing from consumers?
Because it's not what coaches are telling them. It's not the advice that coaches in the industry overall are telling agents. Like the feedback that consumers have, this like raw, unfiltered feedback that consumers have is pretty much the opposite of what every coach, I mean, and I know your coaching is different, but what most coaches are saying is like, just do more marketing, just do this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's like, more marketing for what? Like, everyone is saturated with marketing. I love Instagram for like dog videos and pictures of my friends and their kids. It has been ruined for me by marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to mute every single real estate agent I know, which is a lot, because they don't know how to market. It's just throwing like new listing, new listing, new listing. It's like, I don't care. This is not what I come here for. So please stop.
Fascinating actual statistic that says that Instagram and Facebook, that you have a 1% chance of reaching organic leads through Instagram and Facebook if you're an agent based on your target audience. 1%, right? 1%. And then when you look at YouTube, that is 62% on average. And yet, what do coaches tell people all the time? And what is the industry constantly promoting? Instagram, Facebook. And then that's where you end up with all these agents running around going into, these hot new trends. So we'll talk about this because I'm going to blow this one up, and I guarantee you we're going to get hate mail for this. So do you remember that trend that was happening for a while where they were doing those little figurines, like those little fake action figures? You could do a fake action figure of yourself. Did you see this on Instagram? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there was one that had, and I won't name the brokerage because it was a team that had done this, where they posted each one of the team members as this figurine. And in each one of these little figurines in your action figure pack was 4 things. Something that referenced the brokerage. So there was like a book, like a notebook that had the brokerage name on it, or like a sticker that had the brokerage. Okay, so they all had that. Then they had their like thing they do for fun. So it was like a golf club or a tennis racket or like sneakers. A lot of golf clubs and a lot of tennis rackets, by the way, in a bunch of them. Then it had their favorite drink. So we had like martinis, chocolate martinis. We had like highballs. And what was amazing to me was I looked at this, and the first thing I thought was, what did we just tell people? Well, when you looked at each one of these, it said, oh, but I forgot the best part. It also had whatever the device they were on, their laptop, their iPad, their phone. So what did all this say? I'm constantly out on the golf course or on the tennis courts. I drink all day long. And basically I live on a mobile device because I'm never actually doing anything of actual work. I was like, you just fit the stereotype.
My figurine, I mean, I would hope that they would put the baking part instead of the competitive shooting part, because I feel like that would really change the vibe of my figurine. Just going to say that, like, hi, I'm going to bake you a cake with that in it. But no, I feel like that would change the vibe of my figurine, and maybe people wouldn't really like it. But yeah, it's like, I care kind of what you do outside of work. Like, if I enjoy golfing, then maybe I would enjoy golfing with you and talking with you. But it's like, if that's what you're putting front and center, that I like to have some cocktails and I like to hit the golf course, how much time does that leave for working other than, on my, like, sitting in the golf cart on my 4th, whatever scotch and soda. I don't know what people drink out. I don't know what people drink out there. Maybe they're just having like 17 beers.
Running around. Have you seen the ones where they run around the office all day with like this little microphone? Like, hey, Cindy, what's the best book you read this summer? Hi, Barbara, what's the best book you read this? Like, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares.
Can I also tell you how much I hate that whole trend, period, of the talking into the tiny little lav mic? I'm like, you are a fuckwit. Stop it. Stop it. You look like a fuckwit. Put that thing down. Oh. If you don't talk in the tiny microphone. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're selling real estate. I don't care what you're doing. Put the tiny microphone down. That's a lav mic. That should be clipped on you if you're going to use it at all. Otherwise, put it away.
It is an astounding thing. I mean,
the industry has just been like reduced to just like the dumbest trends and like trying to get attention and vibes and whatever. And it's like, it's going to get you attention, possibly, but I don't think it's going to get you the right kind of attention. If I was not in this industry, which I know I am, so I'm biased and it's hard for me to remove that bias. But if I was not in this industry and I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see someone talking about like their favorite book from the summer, I'm not going to go, you know what? I absolutely am going to call this woman and talk to her about real estate. Mm-hmm. No.
It is astounding. And so my next thought then goes into, if the industry's not intentionally not educating agents how to best engage with consumers, then let's talk about what it is that consumers actually want and need. Now, you've been around some panels, you've talked to a lot of consumers. I do a couple panels here and there, and we talk to consumers, and we've gone through this process before. So let's break it down into a couple different things. Let's start with, because we started with marketing. What is it that consumers want when it comes to marketing? Because I always say there's a difference between property marketing and agent marketing. So let's separate out property marketing for a second. What do you think consumers want when it comes to how an agent presents themselves out to the world based on consumer feedback?
Well, I mean, yes, I want you to be a real human being, but I also want to know that real estate is your focus. Like I want to know, if you're marketing yourself as an agent, tell me what you know about your market. Tell me what you know about like the overall days on, like what is the average days on market? What are the stats? How fast are homes moving in whatever zip code I'm looking at or I'm living in? Like, what is it that I, as either a buyer or seller, need to know so I can best position myself with that information? Like, if I'm looking in a super hot zip code, I'll just use the one I live in. I live in Las Vegas, 89102, some really cool neighborhoods here. Like, if I want to buy a different house here, I want to know how competitive it is. I want to know what's on the market, what they think is coming on the market, how fast they think things are going to move. Or if I want to sell my house, I want to know, like, how fast is it going to go? I want to know how many offers are coming in, like in that market, and not just all of Las Vegas. Like all of Las Vegas is completely different. So that's irrelevant to me. Like I want stuff that is super relevant in that market, like in that zip code, in that school district, whatever it is. But it's like someone saying the Las Vegas Valley, which has 2.5 million people like that and such wildly different housing stock. That's not helpful to me.
I have a tip that I give agents all the time, which is when it comes to your marketing, the easiest way to think about it is if they can Google it, don't send it.
Yeah.
Because I don't need you to give me information that I can already find for myself. What I need is your experience. What I need is information that you have that is not readily available to me on that side, right? Those different types of pieces of things that I'm not going to be able to find or even understand. Because I think that is a huge differentiation point that develops and builds trust with people based off of, I don't really have the ability to understand that nuanced element of something when it comes to that. So with that said, do you think that consumers today, well, let's back it up. What do you think consumers today currently think about agents? If for those of you, by the way, that are on the podcast, Sunny just made a face that looked like
if you're
he just smelled toxic
you might want to
sewage.
go to whatever the minute marker is on this and see that my Botox needs to be redone because I am able to make judgmental faces right now. So that tells me a clue that it is time to re-up my Botox. But no, I think what most people think of real estate agents in general, and this is not new, or it shouldn't be new to anyone in the industry, but they think of real estate agents kind of in the similar vein as like personal injury attorneys. Mm-hmm. And maybe, again, I'm biased because I live in Vegas and there's personal injury attorney billboards all over town.
Better Call Saul.
And you can only imagine why. But they don't necessarily think well of real estate agents in general because what they see online is like all of these ads and whatever. And maybe they know some agents and they love those people. They're like, hey, that person's my friend and she's great and she sells real estate and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. She might think that person is a wonderful person. I don't know if they would necessarily trust her to, I guess it depends on the context of their relationship, if they would trust that person to help them buy or sell a house. But I think in general, consumers think of real estate agents like they're idiots. They make too much money. Mm-hmm. You know, they're out golfing or playing tennis and drinking and whatever. Again, because the little, back to the figurines and the stuff that they see online. I mean, there was one of my friends posts these stories on Instagram every once in a while of a woman. I don't remember where she is, but she does these funny videos of like, she's at an open house or touring or listing or something, and they're funny. But I mean, they're getting my attention that way, but I'm not going to look at her as my potential trusted advisor,
right,
in buying or selling real estate. Like if she was in my market, I wouldn't go, you know what, I'm calling her because she's hilarious. No, I'm not calling her. I'm hilarious. But I'm not like, and yes, and my past clients know that I'm funny, but they also know that when it comes down to doing business, I'm doing business.
Right. And do you think that consumers currently, from a lot of the consumers that you've talked to, and again, as an advisor for many years now to MLSs and to associations, to agents, to brokerages, what would you say is the biggest thing that is missed by all of those groups when it comes to consumers' wants and needs?
Well, I'll be honest, like the associations, and when I say associations, I'm going to just generalize it as like local, state, and national realtor associations. A lot of them say that they're looking out for consumer interest. And yet, all of the programs that they promote are to help either the industry or to really preserve homeowner values for current homeowners, which leaves a huge gap and opportunity for someone to advocate and work towards actual housing affordability. Because if you look at that over the last few years, especially COVID accelerated that trend, because, you've got the money printing going. And so asset prices inflated way artificially. And so now anyone who is not a current homeowner has a ghost's whisper of a prayer of becoming a homeowner, unless they've got like family money coming in or something. But like the association side really has a missed opportunity because they just are really worried about protecting real estate agents and those commissions because that is how they make their money. Like you have to look at the misaligned incentives that are all over. So it's like, yes, retaining value of properties for current homeowners really screws anyone who is not yet on the property ladder.
That's such an important thing.
It incentivizes agents because they make more money.
It is such an important thing, though, that you just said, right? Nobody actually thinks long-term about what the impact and effect for home ownership, the ability for people to be able to afford a house is and what that looks like. Because again, the between the brokerages, the associations, NAR, they're all invested heavily in protecting their fiefdom, right? Their economic benefits. And, I always, and I've said this for a couple years now, that to me, the only people that get screwed in real estate are the top 10% of agents and consumers. That's it. Because the top 10% of agents are constantly working to create differentiation to demonstrate that they are the best of the best at what they do, right? They do about 90% of the real estate nationally. And on top of that, then in that effort to do differentiation, what education do they get? The same bullshit education that the other bottom 90% that aren't doing anything are. And that's how you end up with great agents running around, like, what book did you see, Cindy? Why? Because that's what they've been told to be doing, that's actually going to resonate and build trust and make them more approachable. And that's not true. And then the second part of that is when I look at the consumer side of it, and I know you've experienced this in a lot of the work that you've done and the things that you've seen too, is I look at the consumer side, and the reason that the opinion and view, in my humble opinion, of why consumers don't feel that they can, or they don't have a very high view of agents, is because the bar to entry for being a real estate agent is so freaking low that, like, if you can fog a mirror, NAR is like, come on in, let's do it. Excellent. You're the next generation of people that are doing next to nothing. That combination does not build and foster any long-term trust and accessibility to anything. Then add in the fact that what type of education, and I mean real education, to what you said. I can tell you right now, I don't think there's many agents out there that truly understand what you just said about affordability, the effects that has, and what all that looks like. Why? Again, because we're not providing them with that education. And then secondarily, Sunny, which I think is wild, is then you get into where they get their information from. And their information comes mostly from brokerages. And those brokerages are designed to, again, insulate and protect themselves to keep commissions high, which goes against the consumer best interest. But look at what happens right now with privatizations of listings, right? Brokerages out there will say, you know what? Private listings are in the best interest of the consumer. No, they're not. In certain instances, sure. In certain cases, yes. But if you just cleave off a whole bunch of property, what does that do to affordability to people? Like, what does that do to the average American in terms of what they can afford?
Well, I disagree a little bit on the whole private listing thing. I don't think private listings impact affordability. I don't think, I don't think they impact affordability, because if you look at the listings that are in these private networks, they're not entry-level homes
yet.
And yeah, maybe they will be. And so again, I am open to being wrong, but at this point, when I look at private listings and when I look at where they're really, like the Chicago area, the MLS there has had a private listing side available to all agents through the MLS. They're just not publicly marketed, but they're available to all of the agents in the MLS. They've had that for 10 years and it's worked well.
Yeah.
They haven't had change, like they haven't had wild swings in affordability unlike the rest of the country. I mean, Chicago has, they've got their own unique dynamics, but they've had that in the MLS as an option for all of the members for 10 years. And I've seen the data, and a lot of them start there and then they end up on the MLS. Where I don't think it affects affordability is that just because it doesn't end up maybe on Zillow doesn't mean that people aren't seeing it.
I don't disagree.
I don't think people only go on Zillow to look for houses. I think if they are, I think voyeurs go to Zillow to look for houses because I'm sorry, there's not 250 million monthly unique home shoppers in the United States. That's more than adults in the United States.
Right.
So voyeurs are going to Zillow.
Right.
People who are actually in the market are typically working with an agent, and an agent can get those listings.
Well, when you say an agent can get those listings, that is,
they can ask, like, if you're a good agent in your market, like if I was still an agent or a broker, I would call and say, hey, do you have any private listing? I would just call them and say, I've got a buyer looking for this. Do you have anything that hits that mark? And this is like going back to earlier, technology isn't going to solve the problems. Like I, as the agent, am the one who has the autonomy to solve the problem if I'm willing to do the work.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like agents have to be willing to do the work for their clients. So if I have a buyer that is looking for a specific house, and I know some agents at a different brokerage that maybe has private listings, I'm calling them and saying, hi, I have this buyer looking for this house. Do you have anything that fits that? I'm not just relying on the MLS or Zillow or whatever. And I mean, consumers don't even know what the MLS is.
Right.
But that's a whole other thing. But like if I'm an agent working for a buyer, I'm calling everyone that I know that might have a listing for that. And so that, in my opinion, is why it doesn't impact affordability. I think affordability comes from a lot of other places, and I don't think private listings is the problem.
I don't disagree in the current state.
Yeah.
But I think that if a certain brokerage or brokerages have their way, I think that you're right. I totally agree with you that current state, those homes that are private listings are not in the affordability range of most Americans. But to me, it begins a slippery slope of things rolling downhill. And what I see moving forward and what concerns me is the idea that if you start getting into the $200,000, $300,000 price point areas, and that there are segments of that are now being privatized, that to me, it becomes more difficult for a consumer to A, find those things, B, create more visibility, because again, it's a supply and demand concept. So I just project to the gloom and doom because I do see it as a problem down the road. But no, I agree with you. It's not the problem, right? It's not the biggest problem. Affordability is affected by many other things long before that. But I digress. I think what I'm curious to understand is when agents are listening to this, right? You know, and again, I don't want to turn this into a anti-Zillow convo, but when agents are listening to this, I think that the one thing that's important to understand is everything that I heard you, Sunny, just say, you kept mentioning that the relationship is between the agent and the consumer, right? And at the end of the day, it is the agent and the consumer. Brokerages work for the agent. the agent doesn't work for the brokerage. They're not cutting you a check every 2 weeks. You're not on their medical plan. There's no 401k that you have from it. And again, at the end of the day, I have seen, and what concerns me the most about what I see right now is that for the last, 30 years, maybe even 40, there was a very clear delineation and shift in the industry from the power dynamic being held by the brokerage, and it shifted over the years to the agents. Right.
Yeah. And that started with Remax. That started in the 70s with Remax. And then the Keller Williams model accelerated that trend.
Yep.
And so it's just gone from there, where basically, and I mean, I was a managing broker. I am a recovering managing broker. I will just say that. And really, as a managing broker, you are kind of the bitch of your agents. Really, I mean, like, yes, you provide services and tools and you want to do all of these things for them. And yet, at the end of the day, they're independent contractors. And at the end of the day, really, if they're not happy with you, they will go find someone that they're happy with. They will leave.
Which was that shift in the power dynamic, right? Yeah. And so in that transition, what I'm seeing now is that as recently as the past month, that power dynamic for the first time ever is starting to shift back to the brokerages. And it starts with people convalescing and really rallying around these power messages being put out there by brokerages that I won't name in and around this concept where there's like the great leader saving the agent community from all of these things and championing things for the consumer. Look, if 3%, and again, this is a proven statistic, 3% of all consumers, only 3% care what brand or brokerage the agent is with, because the relationship is with the agent. They don't care about the brokerage. And so what do you end up with in this element right now is you end up with a situation where you have a brokerage currently, and more to come, that are shifting the power dynamic back to the brokerage, because when they can privatize listings, when they can actually then dominate, when they can have more deals done internally, what's the next thing to make money? Start dropping agent splits back down again, because that's how you actually increase revenue to a brokerage. And so from there, that is a very slippery slope, in my opinion, to get further and further away from putting a wedge into the idea that the relationship is between the agent and the consumer. I just think it's a bad place to go.
And I agree. I agree that if brokers decide that they are the one providing all of the stuff to the consumer, and there have been a number of brokerages over the years that have tried doing like, we're going to market on your behalf. We're going to do this on your behalf. And they try it. And then their agents turn around and bite them and say, absolutely not. And so there always comes a break point. Like, I've seen this movie before, right? That it always becomes a break point. And yes, there is this like line that brokers can get up to, but once they cross it, or agents perceive that they're going to cross it, they have to back off. Like, they have to back off or they're going to lose agents. Because once, and this is any brand, like this could be brokerage, this could be portal, this could be anything. Anytime anyone, like again, brokerage, portal, PropTech company, anytime agents feel like someone is trying to get between their relationship with their consumer, shit's going to go sideways really fast for whatever company tries to do that. Full stop. Unless
current day, and I think this is where you and I may disagree, I think current day, unless that brokerage has consolidated enough power where they have 30, 40% of market share throughout the country, and then where are you going to go if you're an agent? Because again, in the consolidation, that's where you end up with an Amazon, Facebook. Say that again.
The one you're dancing around will be, there will be consolidated market share, but differentiation of brands in terms of what is everything that I've heard so far is there's still differentiation of brands. I know you. I know.
That's a movie I've seen before.
Yeah, I know. It's a movie you've seen before too. Yeah. Nothing, again, back to your comment that nothing is new other than like stupidity or idiocy or whatever. And I bring a fair share of that to my thinking as well. So if you do hear an original thought, sometimes I am an idiot, and I am always willing to change my mind when given new information. So I have worked for a big brand before, and there was still a lot of choice for agents. Like even in a small market, one of the big brands, still a ton of choice. And agents exercised that choice all the time. Sometimes I was the beneficiary as the broker. Sometimes I was not. Sometimes I lost out on that because there was one brokerage that had over 50% market share in my market. I still got agents from that office.
Oh, and I totally agree with you. I just think that the deck is slowly being stacked in a very different way. And I think that the implementation...
And there is going to be more consolidation happening. Yeah. Like this is just the beginning. So there are other brokerages and franchises and stuff that in the next year, 18 months, maybe 2 years, we will see more brokerage consolidation. Like absolutely, we will see more brokerage consolidation, franchises, whatever. And then to my question then is, what kind of MLS consolidation do we see following that? Because these big brokerages are going to start demanding that they don't have to be members of all these different ones, because it's like we have X amount of agents, X amount of market share across 500 MLSs. Oh, no, that's not a sustainable business model.
Agreed. Now, unless they start their own MLS and that behemoth starts its own MLS, privatizes listings, and then has data rights to all of that and does whatever they want with that data right.
Every MLS that I know of has something in their membership agreement that if you start a competing MLS or you start your own MLS, you are immediately kicked out and you lose access to everything. So if someone does that, and that could be anyone, that could be a brokerage, that could be a tech company now that is a brokerage. It could be a lot of different entities that could spin up their own MLS. And the moment that happens, they will lose access to all of the MLSs that they have memberships in.
It's going to be, we are in for some wild and interesting times. And to quote one of my favorite people, what a time to be alive.
Oh God, I know.
That's a Sunny Lake Hahn quote. So as we land the plane on today's episode, I want to just briefly touch on one thing. Tell me the three things. Give me three things that if you're an agent listening to this, that you think right now consumers want more than anything else. You're an agent listening to this right now. Sunny Lake Hahn gets to give people the best advice when it comes to what consumers want and need. What would you say those three things are?
They want stability. They want someone who is just like a constant, not a Chicken Little sky is falling or Pollyanna. They want like stability. They want someone who can cut through all the bullshit for them, like all of the news and all of the different sources of information. So they want someone who is like a steady, constant, like stabilizing force in their life. That's I would say that's probably a number one, especially with all of the chaos that everyone is getting bombarded with from every aspect of their life.
Yes.
So that is one thing. They want your time and attention. Like they want stability. They want your time and attention. Like when they have a question, they want your time and attention. They do not want to have to hunt you down. Like they want your time and attention. So stability. And again, I did not prepare for this because you didn't tell me so.
I know. And that's why I love doing this.
By the way, for the listening audience, I just flipped Lance off for,
I do it on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. So stability, time and attention. And they want the information. Like they just want the information that they want. Like give me the information that I want and need right now to help me make the best decision.
I love it.
So no chaos, no like, up, down, sky. Like, well, if we don't get this house right now, you're never going to get another house. Like, no, they don't want that. They want someone who's like, you need a stabilizing force in your life right now. They want your time and attention. And then they want the actual information they need, not like in a way that like they can understand it. We look at data and stats and stuff all the time. And it's like, what do I as the buyer or seller need today to help me make the right decision?
Brilliant. As usual, you are freaking fantastic. I adore you. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today. And
this is the most fun I'm having all week, I can tell you. And my birthday is on Thursday, and I can tell you that this is still the most fun I'm going to have all week.
I love when you lie to me. It's so amazing. By the way, because I already know in the background that, you did have birthday plans that unfortunately because of a hurricane got canceled. So The
Yes,
bar wasn't set
yes.
too high for me to actually, top the hurricane. But
I know I would have rather done this when I had a cute tan, but here we are.
I will say, for anybody listening to this, we'll put it in the show notes as well too. If you want one of the best Instagrams that you can possibly follow out there that has nothing to do with real estate, but I literally laugh out loud every time I see posts, the incredible Sunny Lake Hahn has one of the best Instagrams out there. So go check it out as well. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today. And I, again, as always, cannot thank you enough for being an inspiration to me in the business, my friend in the business, and an all around wonderful human being.
Oh, thank you. And happy birthday to my birthday twin.
Thank you.
Really. My brother from another mother, or whatever that dumb thing is. But yeah, you are one of my favorite people. And I love anytime we get to spend together, even if it's 3,000 miles away. I would much rather be doing this, somewhere in person, hanging out and not playing golf or tennis and having drinks.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, being a human being.